Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. On this channel we post writing tips, unboxings, book hauls, book reviews and the occasional vlog. And today I have another book review for you, and it is The Paying Guests by Sarah Waters. If you guys are new to this channel, I'll read you guys the blurb, then we'll do spoiler-free review, followed by the spoiler review, but I'll give you guys a spoiler warning and a time to skip to before we give any spoilers. This is a book I borrowed from my mum, so it's not my normal reading habit, but I heard Sarah Waters was an amazing writer, so I wanted to give it a try. Before I get into the review, let me read you guys the blurb. There came the splash of water and the rub of heels as Mrs. Barber stepped into the tub. After that there was a silence, broken only by the occasional echoey plink of drips from the tap. Frances had been picturing her lodgers in purely mercenary terms, as something like 2 great waddling shillings, but this, she thought, was what it really meant to have paying guests. This odd, unintimate proximity, this rather peeled-back moment, where the only thing between herself and the naked Mrs. Barber was a few feet of kitchen and a thin, scullery door. An image sprang into her head, that round flesh crimsoning in the heat. Before we get into this review, if you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Your continued support means a lot, so thank you guys so much. Alright, so The Paying Guests. The blurb doesn't tell you much, does it? And honestly, when you're reading it, I feel like I'm gonna be shunned in the book community for this. However, the book itself felt aimless, as it is a romance drama book. It is quite interesting because it is based just after the First World War, and it is a lesbian romance, tad different back then if you were lesbian or gay. So it's very interesting, very well set for the time, it's very well researched, and it has moments of greatness. However, it also has a lot of drivel. It goes on and on and on. This book, I mean, look how hefty that is. It is 564 pages for a romance drama. That is a lot of pages. And as I said, it just feels aimless. The character, the main character, Frances, is from their point of view. Now, they have a want, a great want. They really want it. But they don't realise that want till quite a bit in. And then after that want, they then just have survival, if I'm honest. They don't have a need. None of the characters have a need. None of them learn anything. And honestly, I would say that it is ultimately a poorer ripoff of Crime and Punishment. I know that sounds severe, and I'm sorry. Lots of people do like this book. I'm just not one of them. However, it does have moments of good. For example, on page 71, I have a quote for you, which is, "Oh, just look at him. Like a great big turnip, isn't he? We're hoping he'll grow into his head." Love it. Adorable. If I'm honest, any chapter which has Mrs. Barber's family in it, mwah, they're such a fun family. I love them. And they're the ones that give you the great quotes. On page 72, the girl repeated, "What's a still?" Vera answered her at last, "Something I wish you'd been." They mean a stillbirth. Like, the burn. This family is the most real in the book, but I think they're real because they're not the upper class. This is the majority of the population are quite often this blunt and sarcastic and funny, and I love that about them. It also does make you question some things about life. So for example, on page 126, next morning out in the WC, she discovered that her friend had arrived. Why it was called a friend, she could never imagine. It was more like an enemy within the gates. Her period has come, and it's correct. How many people have described it as their friend? It's not your friend. Your period is, as they describe, your enemy, but it's an enemy that's in you that you can't stop or get rid of, and you have to have. But it comes every month, and you don't want it. Unless, of course, you think you're pregnant, but you don't want to be pregnant, then you probably do want it. But apart from that circumstance, how many people actually want their period to come? Nobody. So why is it called your friend? A friend shouldn't drain the life out of you. It shouldn't make you cramp and be angry and hungry and then not hungry and just irritable all at the same time. Page 147 has another quote that I just personally relate to, which is, "Fancy sitting in a twilit garden with a girl and fussing over a Siamese cat." This resonates with me because I'd pick the cat. Even my partner knows that if we're out together and an animal gets involved, I'm gonna hug the animal. I can't stop myself. If I was in a Twilight garden enjoying a romantic evening with Matt and a cat comes in and wants cuddles, I'm sorry, I'm gonna cuddle the cat. I just can't stop myself. The next one is on page 155. There is a fantastic description. So I'm not going to give you guys the quote, but page 155 is great description of being hungover. It was described to the point where I actually felt hungover reading it, which is fantastic writing. Sarah Waters is obviously a really great writer. Just overall, it didn't work. But at page 155, just be ready. You may feel slightly hungover. I'm going to say spoiler alert now, guys. Spoiler alert. If you haven't read the book or you don't want to have any spoilers, then skip to this time here for the rest of the overall review. If you've read the book or you don't mind hearing the spoilers, then stay tuned. Spoiler alert. Okay, so as I said at the beginning, this is a lesbian romance book. It's a lesbian romance drama, okay? It took to page 200, so about here, for the romance to begin. For a romance book, that doesn't seem too bad, right? All these 200 pages are so mundane. But ultimately, what worried me is this is a romance drama, and the romance has happened here. What's all this? Frances's want, alright, begins the book, needs money, gets money. Her want is Mrs. Barber. She got Mrs. Barber. What else is there? I also have a question, or kind of more of a challenge, okay? I've noticed a bit of a trend, and please correct me if I'm wrong. I am actually hoping that I'm wrong, okay? But can someone please give me a lesbian romance which doesn't involve cheating? I've read a lot of gay romance and there's no cheating. I've read heterosexual romances and there's no cheating. But every time I read a lesbian romance, someone's cheating on their husband. The bit that makes it difficult for me is quite often the husband isn't necessarily bad. I mean, in this case, not the worst, not the best. But in most cases, the husband's not bad, not abusive or anything like that. So why would you cheat? Okay, cheating happens, and if you cheat, please tell your partner as soon as, and either work on it or end the relationship, but you should tell. But why is it always in lesbian romances? Why can't a lesbian romance start without one of the people cheating? Now, I do know it's partly possibly because of the time period, because it is after the First World War. There's not so many open lesbian or gay people out there because obviously you were penalised for your sexual orientation, which is complete bollocks, but you were. So I understand it's harder to find someone. I understand people were in hiding, that people had heterosexual relationships for many, many years before they came out because they didn't think they could, because they were trying to deny these feelings. However, I can find quite a lot of gay romances where that's not the case. Please tell me, guys, if you've read a lesbian romance that doesn't involve cheating, please comment down below and let me know. I do apologise. I know, I hope I am wrong, that they're all like this. I know they can't all be like this. So please just let me read something that's not a cheat. Please, tell me below. Lesbian romance doesn't involve cheating. A quote from page 248. I'm sorry, don't let's quarrel. This is an oxymoron, right? This really confused. It's just the English language is so weird. Just, I'm sorry, don't let's quarrel. So don't quarrel, let's quarrel. So we have the don't, but we also have the let's. So don't do it, but do it, quarrel. Language. Page 288. I'm almost sure that I've started a baby. Again, English. Is this a common saying from after the war? Does anyone's grandparents say that they, describe being pregnant as started a baby? How do you start a baby? You're pregnant or you're not pregnant. It's just quite a fun, I don't know if I like it or dislike it. I just find it a really fun way to describe that you think you're pregnant. Page 469. You took the wall, Lillian. I thought it charming at the time, but you've been taking the wall ever since. You can't take it forever. You can't take it now. I actually really enjoyed this quote because by taking the wall, Frances is going back to when they were walking together and Lillian, before they were together, walked against the wall. Now, it used to be common courtesy that the man would walk next to the road. I think this was for puddles and for safety. But that used to be what you did. So the fact that Lillian took the wall means she's taken the background seat in their relationship and she wants to be cared for and protected and provided for, which was the stereotype relationship of the time, that the man would work and protect and the woman would be behind them. But I really enjoyed how this came back. And at this point, Frances is saying it as Lillian is taking the back seat into committing murder and wanting Frances to deal with everything, which is obviously not okay. And I felt that was just a really good description and just a really good link between the two things. Very well done. Now let's go to discuss how I said it's like Crime and Punishment, but not as good. It feels like it is a version of Crime and Punishment because you've got the romance drama story at the start, and then it goes into Crime and Punishment, where you've got someone who's committed a murder, who's trying to get away with the crime, but also has that guilt feeling of they don't want someone else to be blamed for the crime that they did. Now, unlike in Crime and Punishment, where they eventually give themselves in because you'll feel better because you've admitted the crime and you have to do the time, i.e. a moral high ground. The story is about achieving being moral. This one does that same story, and there's no morality. They never get caught. They basically watch this guy's life be torn apart. Luckily they get away with it, but they watch them suffer, and they watch Mr. Barber's family suffer. Everyone's suffering. They themselves are obviously suffering greatly, and I know it shows that in great detail, but then they learn nothing. There's no moral to the story. It's literally just watching a couple cheat together, kill a husband, go through court, and then nothing. So the book ultimately has no emotional attachment from it. You don't learn anything, nothing's achieved, there's no character development. Neither woman gets better. Frances doesn't become any less selfish. Mrs. Barber doesn't become any less selfish or independent. No one learns anything. No one has a character arc. Nothing changes. The only thing that changes is now Mrs. Barber isn't married and has some money. Oh yay. Welcome back if you are from the spoiler-free section. We'll now do the overall review. Welcome back. Let's get started. So overall, I thought this book was just too long, ultimately. It is a romance drama that could have been half the length. I know it means you get really in-depth detail. The hangover scene, as I said, is really interesting. But a vast majority, how many times do I need to read about them having hot cocoa before bed and about her cleaning the house? I know it is their coping mechanism to clean, but really, it just takes so long. And it has no need. So ultimately the story feels like it falls flat because all you get is wants. And they achieve their wants before halfway through the book. So they got what they wanted. Another reason I think this happens, as well as the characters not having a need and only having a want, Lillian, who is the main romantic partner, that's all that they are. No one has a character arc. And Lillian has nothing else going for them. They have nothing else to achieve other than to be the love interest for Frances. That makes that character fall flat. Every single character falls flat, to be honest, apart from Frances, and even she is not exactly round. I think they don't have a character arc. I think the character arc they were trying to go for is the characters getting stronger, but ultimately it just feels like they get weaker. They don't learn anything. They don't learn from their mistakes. They don't become better people. They don't become more independent. Their romance doesn't blossom. Nothing. Just nothing. There's some really good description, and then it's flat. The one thing it does have going for it is the book did make me feel inwardly stressed. As I said, the hangover scene made me feel hungover. There is a sexual scene which doesn't go quite well, and that is described to perfection. I love the description of that, and it makes you feel like, if it's been not great, you're like, that's what it makes you feel. And I enjoyed how it made you feel. Well, enjoyed's not the word. It made me feel like crap, but it was supposed to make you feel like crap. So that was very good. But a vast majority of the time, I was just bored. I just wanted to get to the end of it. And that's it. So overall, I would give this book 4 out of 10 stars. There are parts of it that are really well written. Ultimately, I think it just needed a need, and it needed a better pacing. It could have been a bit shorter. But as I said, there are lots of people who do like this book. I do apologize if you disagree with me. Please promote the book, please read the book. For me, it just fell very flat to what it could have been. And that's it for this book review. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoy what you see. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe to this channel to see as soon as I upload. Click that little bell down below. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram and Tumblr. I post bookish pictures as well as my writing tips and unboxings on there. And thanks for watching, guys. Bye!